Well, it's almost, it might be, I don't think it's an understatement, it is almost Australian country, comedy...
and crossover, all in one.
Royalty tonight. Mr. Jim Haynes joins us. G'day, Jim, how are you?
You shouldn't build me up like that. I might start believing it.
Well, Jim, our name of our show is Country, Comedy and Crossover, and truly you are the man who just takes the whole lot into one little basket and takes it with them.
Oh, well, you know, if you can't compete, create your own little niche and live there. That's
now, we were going to say if we didn't have something out from you by the end of this year, of course, we would have needed a note because it's been 2004.
I know.
What have you been doing?
It's been way too long, hasn't it? And I'm not too sure why, really. I've been living another life, doing other things, writing books and doing lots of festivals and getting around the place. And the time just seemed to go.
Yeah, and going on these nice little tours of like Norfolk Island. That would have been really tough.
Yeah, that was my 7th trip, I think, to Norfolk, and it is a hard life, but someone has to do it, you know.
I know, and it's so nice of you to put your hand up again for it, hey?
Well, that's right, yes, we're going again next year. It's the 20th. It's a big anniversary, so... the names I've heard mentioned are very, very big ones, but my lips are sealed. But if it comes off...
Well, they're competing with you, you know.
Oh, well, that's right, yes. You have to compete with me. They've only seen me out there 7 times now, so if I can't come up with some new jokes, there'll be something wrong.
Now, there's been plenty of people who've got their... when we were talking to a couple of people saying that we're going to be chatting with Jim Haynes, one of the guys said to us, he said, you know, I was in Tamworth one year. He said, I can't remember when, but he said Jim got up and did the best political correctness satire of Three Blind Mice.
Oh, yes, we used to do that. And I put out a double album last year called The Complete Jim Haynes, and of course... the first thing that happened was all these people rang up and told me what wasn't on it. And that was one thing that wasn't on it. But yeah, it was a very funny routine where this fellow who was actually my tour manager, who used to dress up as a character called Montague Fortescue, and he used to come on and correct me, and I couldn't say 3 blind mice. I had to say 3 visually impaired rodents, you know, and we had a whole stack of those routines, so we should revive them.
You have to. You have to.
It was without a doubt probably the most common thing where people said Jim Haynes, and there was at least 2 people that we spoke to today that said they saw that, said it was fabulous. And one of the most requested numbers we get here is your version where you talk about what kids have learnt by the time they're 8, I think it is.
Yeah, those top 10s have been... You know, we started doing them a long time ago, and the very first one we did was the insurance, things written on insurance forms, which I got when I did a corporate gig, and, things like coming home, I drove into the wrong house and hit a tree I don't have. You know, people actually write this stuff on their insurance claim forms. And the second one, I had a show called Sing About Australia. I used to tour through all the primary schools, and I started asking the kids, you know, what have you learned? And they're around that 8, 9, and oh boy, some of the things, you know, and some of them were quite touching. You know, the little girl who said, if mum's had a fight with your dad, don't let her brush your hair.
You know, I was about to say that because every girl has gone through that. Every single one of us.
A little one that gets pretty close to home with us is that years ago I went away on a sales course, and one of the things we touched on was negotiating, and my kids wanted to know what negotiating was, so I gave them a bit of a rundown, and Tracy didn't know anything about it, so my daughter comes in the next afternoon and asks for 14 biscuits.
Oh, what?
And Shemaine said, and Tracy said, no, you can have 3, and so that's a win. So I think if you really do want a dog, you start out asking for a pony.
That's right. If you want a pony, start out asking for a kitten. But the thing that became really apparent was that, and I only ever did one list of the kids' things because some of them I was able to, revamped. Signs seen overseas. They are hilarious. Those signs you see when you go to Hong Kong. Ladies can have a fit upstairs. If you want to get a dress made. All those. But I only ever did the one of the kids. But what became really apparent was how much brighter the girls were than the boys.
Oh yes.
I think it's just an age thing.
Yes, I think you're right.
I don't know.
think you're
Wait a
right.
minute. 2 against 1. I'll let you guys have it tonight.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think collectively within this telephone conversation now, there's much more intelligence amongst these two blokes than there is amongst this one woman.
Yes, but then there's only the one woman.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's right. So
Now,
we're going to talk about this new album we have, the Galah Occasions.
I love that, Galah Occasions. I just think that's just great.
Yeah, look, I had to have a title for the song and for the album rather, and the track Galah Occasion was, as you can probably hear, it's not really designed for radio. It's me and a ukulele, I think, and that's it. And I was thinking, what am I going to call this album? And it's got a lot of stuff on there about getting old, losing your glasses, losing your mobile phone, losing your keys, Artie Dorry's garage sale, and I thought I need something a little more, current. And I was watching some of those ridiculous television shows where the red carpet goes for 3 hours and then no one watches the event. And I thought, that's it. We live in a world where any non-entity can suddenly become a famous personality because they're walking on a red carpet, and everybody's oohing and ahhing. So that gave me the sort of the theme for the album. And, of course, then the pink galah suit, which I wore on the red carpet, and that really worked because, you know how it is. All the television networks come up to Tamworth and they only know a couple of country music people. They might know Lee Kernigan, John Williamson, Casey Chambers or something, So they're saying, who are we going to film? Who do we know? And they film, a couple of the more famous ones, and then they say, get that guy in the stupid suit.
Yeah, is that Dane Edna over there? Bring it, Dane.
So, the suit gets me on television nationally. I have all my friends ring up the next day and say, I saw you on national television.
Well, we can't miss you in that suit. It was very nice that they'll be able to get the same colour print, though, for the name on the album. That was very nice of them.
Yeah, and I love the graphics on the album. I can't lay claim to them. They were actually, I'm not sure I'm supposed to give away this secret, but Diana Corcoran actually did all the graphics for me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And she's very good visually. I can't draw a stick man, so I stick to words.
Oh, okay. So you and Darren are in the same corner when it comes to Pictionary.
Yes.
Oh, he's pretty good at stickman now, no?
Yeah, well, look, I love art. It's a passion of mine, and I collect art. But I think, the reason I appreciate it so much is I think, how on earth do they do that?
Are you Jim? We're talking to Jim Haynes too, by the way. But Jim, tell me, are you one of these people that like art or like art? See, when I talk of art, I want things to look like what they look like.
Oh yes, yeah. My passion is I collect Australian colonial art, so
right.
yeah, landscapes and that kind of thing. Look, I don't get that stuff. I think all that modern art stuff's a bit like the Emperor's New Clothes. Everyone tells you that it's wonderful, so you start believing it.
I can see his struggle with his sanity in it. Yeah. Now, on a serious note, you've been a long-time member of on the board of the CMAA, and you've done some great things with helping, been involved in things like the Road to Tamworth and comparing all of those things. You must have seen some big changes over the last few years in Australian country music.
Oh, look, I had no idea how much things had changed until I did the album. Actually, that was a real eye-opener for me because, as you said, I haven't actually done an album of songs since 2004. Now, not only has the music business changed, the entire universe has changed, and, everything is done so differently now that it's quite scary for somebody like me, and thankfully a lot of the people who like what I do are of an age where they actually do buy a CD and go out to a concert, but no, look, it's scary, and it's been wonderful being involved with the college. As you said, I was on the board of the CMAA 15 years. I always used to say I was the most board member, but I stood down last year. I thought, let someone else have a go. But, Yeah, it is a changing world out there, and we've got all these incredibly talented young people who've been through the academy, and the list is amazing. The McClymonts, Brendan Walmsley, Sarah Storer, Amber Lawrence, and on and on and on. They're going into a world that's nothing like the world I went into when I decided to become a full-time entertainer. Whenever it was 25 years ago, So good luck to them, I say, and I just hope they, that they work out how it all works now with social media and downloads and so on.
There's something about Australian country music, though, that does lend itself to the novelty songs as well. Whether it be the old Redback on the toilet seat, whether it be some of the great Ted Egan songs that have been done, your sort of stuff, Greg Champion's sort of music. Becky Cole does some of the comedy stuff as well. What is it about Australia that lends us so easily to our Australian country music performers being able to write? Make the blend, if you like, make comedy and country work together?
Yeah, you know what I think it is? I think we like to laugh at ourselves, and that makes us a little bit different from our American cousins in the country music business. Although, mind you, there's always been that hillbilly humour in American country music too, and we had it here with the Schneider sisters and some of those acts who a lot of the old hillbilly acts here in the 50s, they did basically American routines. They did Spike Jones routines, and then of course along came Chad Morgan, and there is nothing like him on this planet, let me tell you. With that amazing, I go and watch Chad now, and he's basically doing the same show that he did when I was a kid, and I know every word, and I just keep laughing. There's something amazing about that very dry Aussie humour, and we love to laugh at ourselves, and I try and always make sure that my humour is directed at me and not anybody else.
Because we can take the mickey out of ourselves, and we do it very well.
Yeah, we do. And, a lot of other nations don't do that. I think they make fun of other people or, but we do, don't we? We love to laugh at ourselves. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We don't like to pump ourselves up too much. And we see the silly side, as you said. There's always been that comedy element, and Grant Leur's a great mate of mine. He was here yesterday, actually, passing through on his way somewhere, and we had lunch together, and, nude boot scooting, what a crazy idea. Just to be able to see that ridiculous side of something and then play around with it, which is what happened with Cheryl Went Feral. I just saw this television show and thought, what if, this happened? And then... luckily for me, that word and that sort of idea was just sort of, becoming current at the time. So, comedy's a very delicate thing. If you hit the right place at the right time, you're lucky.
Well, that's right. And when you're talking about true life situations too, like, not every person can stand up there and talk about a colonoscopy or even sing about it.
No, and that was another
touchy subject.
We've been doing that on stage for a while, and it always gets a good reaction. And at the last minute, I think, we were in the studio and somebody said, why don't we put down a couple of your little stage routines that you do with Russell, my piano player. And Russell was there, and it was just the two of us, so away we went. And the colonoscopy song, I think, has been about the most played song from the album on Sydney radio.
Probably. And you have a look at the people like John Williamson, and he has the Caravan CD, and he's got some of the comedy ones too, and they do get requests a lot, but there is a serious side to him, as there is a serious side to Jim Haynes, and we've got the new single out now at the moment with Australia, and just absolutely beautiful. Of course, when I listen to this song, I know that you've seen Australia.
Yeah, look, it was one of those things. I just decided that I hadn't done anything patriotic. I used to, always have a patriotic song in the repertoire. I'll have chips or, something like that. And there were a lot of those ideas in my head, those very iconic things, particularly, the events, I suppose, the guys who held Kokoda, held Tobruk, and all those. well, you can see there's quite a few painters in there. You know, there's Sidney Nolan and Tom Roberts, and so it was just a result of sitting and thinking about all the wonderful things that I love about Australia.
Well, speaking about art, I opened the program with it tonight, and I know that you have your position on political correctness and so forth. Did you catch the news today about the horse they're gonna change the name of the racehorse in Australia? Did you catch that news story?
No, I missed that.
All right. Well, there's a horse that's been bred, and its sire's called Exceptional Art. So they've named it Blackman after Charles Blackman.
Oh right, yes.
And political correctness has gone wrong. They've decided that that's offensive to someone, so they're going to change the name. This is the racing board have come out, and they've told David Haynes that they need to change the name to Lady Blackman. Now, I reckon there's a song in that.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a song. They could have gone the opposite. They could have gone Whiteley.
Well, yeah. I know, but that's what I said. What are they going to call Black Caviar next week?
Well, that's right. She'll have to be called something else.
We don't know.
We can't have Black Caviar. We'll have to be.
Orange Roe.
Not particularly pale caviar or something.
But I thought.
And here comes Orange Roe on the outside.
I said to Tracy, I said, I'm going to bring this up with Jim. I know he loves his art, and he loves political correctness
and I love the
Australiana
races too. Another passion of mine.
And the races, and I thought this is a topic for him. Fancy making them change the name. So Blackman, if you had a little flutter on Blackman, you can't do it anymore. You've got to look for Lady Blackman.
Silly,
madness,
silly.
Madness.
Oh yeah, look, you sometimes do think that you're glad you weren't born any later than you were. You know.
Yeah, not wrong there.
We could talk for hours, Jim Haynes. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you. We'll have to do it again soon. The name of the album is Galah Occasions. Just look for the Galah on the cover, and he's got a bird on his suit. It looks fantastic. It's a great album. Get hold of it, and we're going to go out tonight with Australia. We might get you to introduce that to our listeners, Jim.
Okay, well, with the Olympics coming up, we need our usual 4-yearly burst of patriotism and start to think about all the things that make Australia Australia and feel proud of ourselves. So if this song don't do it, nothing will.